Hello, we're kicking off a new week of current event coverage here on VTV News Live. I'm Laneng, and here's what I have for today, November the 16th. First, let's hear voters' expectations ahead of the special National Assembly Q&A session, which is about to kickstart. And later, Vietnam and New Zealand boast comprehensive cooperation as Prime Minister of New Zealand began official visit to Vietnam. Now, first off, as scheduled, a National Assembly Q&A session will be held from today until the 18th. Now, this time the session will be processed differently as National Assembly deputies can ask questions across all sectors and on any issues. No queries have been revealed in advance of the session. So what have voters have been expecting for this special Q&A session? Let's take a look in the following report.
Recently, voters have appreciated the changes that have improved the effectiveness of the National Assembly's operations, represented by the special Q&A session. Through this, ministers and sector leaders are developing an understanding of voters' concerns on current social affairs.
I hope that the questions will be straightforward, addressing voters' concerns so that we can hear the most relevant answers.
Three main issues should be questioned at the National Assembly section, including corruption, misallocation of public resources, as well as reformation of administrative procedures.
I hope to see more responsible answers and solutions proposed by the ministries when addressing voters' concerns.
National Assembly deputies and voters across the country have placed high hopes in a new Q&A format. Concerns will be addressed more directly in order to find feasible solutions.
In other news, Prime Minister of New Zealand, John Key, began his official visit to Vietnam on Saturday following the invitation of Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng. Now, Prime Minister Dũng and his New Zealand counterpart held talks following a welcoming ceremony on Sunday. Let's take a closer look at the important issues discussed between the two leaders in the following report.
At the meeting, the two leaders agree that their countries have become close partners and will further boost cooperation in 9 major fields to elevate the current relationship to a strategic partnership. The two leaders hope to enhance cooperation in fields like politics, labor, education, tourism, air transportation, agriculture, security, and defense, as well as climate change response.
We have agreed that the two countries are seeing great opportunities to live our cooperative partnership, such as the soon-to-be signed TPP agreement, the ASEAN community, which will be established by the end of this year, and the ASEAN-New Zealand strategic partnerships.
Today we have signed a number of agreements which will see greater opportunities for New Zealand and Vietnamese companies to do more business together, for more students to be educated both in New Zealand and through New Zealand universities here in Vietnam, and also to see a greater exchange of people-to-people links through tourist activity.
On the same day, Prime Minister John Key paid tribute to President Ho Chi Minh's mausoleum and lit a wreath at the martyr's memorial.
President of the Senate of the Czech Republic, Milan Stech, arrived in Hanoi on Sunday, beginning an official visit to Vietnam at the invitation of the National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng. Now, after the welcome ceremony, the two sides held talks on important issues in the 65-year cooperative relationship between the two countries. National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hùng appreciated the Czech Republic's contribution towards the signing of the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement agreement, as well as other efforts made to enhance multifaceted cooperation by the two countries. For his part, the Czech Senate President praised the bilateral relationship positive developments in economic, trade, investment, education, and training. The two sides agreed to continue coordinating at multilateral forums, such as the Inter-Parliamentary Union or IPU, the Asia-Europe Parliamentary Partnership, and strengthening exchanges on issues of mutual interest. Moving on now to other news, the Central Committee of the Vietnam Fatherland Front held a ceremony to celebrate the 85th anniversary of the National United Front of Vietnam. Chairman of the Vietnam Fatherland Front, Nguyễn Thiện Nhân, and Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Văn Ninh attended the event. In the past 85 years, the National United Front has played an important role in promoting national solidarity through some of the country's milestone developments, as well as through sovereignty protection missions. Some programs, such as the New Rural Development Campaign and the Poor's Day campaign, have achieved some significant results. These have helped improve quality of life, especially those in poor and remote areas. A campaign to call for unification to develop new rural and modernize urban areas was also launched at the event. Now, following the attacks in Paris last Friday, the French embassy in Hanoi held a memorial on Sunday afternoon to honor victims and send condolences to the affected families in France. At about 4 p.m., many people lined up to attend the memorial. In addition to the French community in Hanoi, the queue in front of the embassy included Vietnamese friends, colleagues, and students, and also Vietnamese people who used to live in France and consider it their second home. Many flowers were brought and candles lit to pay tribute to the victims in the terrorist attacks. Now, according to French officials, more than 120 people have been killed after a series of attacks in Paris on November the 13th. The whole world has sent prayers and strongly condemned these terrorist acts.
Exotic Vietnam is an intriguing blend of many charms. This land is where all manner of stunning landscapes await like a visual feast, rivaled only by the beauty of its people and their abundantly rich tradition and culture. Here is where you can relive the past in richest color or live it up in the bright lights of the big city. With so much more to offer, Vietnam is simply unforgettable.
You're back here with us on VTV News. Now, October 2015 saw Vietnam's highest ever monthly steel production output. According to the Vietnam Steel Association, its members' steel production reached nearly 618,000 tons, 30% higher compared to the same period in 2014. The steel market saw a positive rise in October and early November. Still, Vietnamese enterprises are facing difficulties due to cheap imported steel in the local market and steel dumping issues in major export markets. When free trade agreement takes effect, Vietnamese enterprises will have to compete with imported steel. Now, Asia's largest coffee exhibition wraps up on the 15th of November in Seoul, Korea. Considered a platform for coffee producers to network in technology and further cooperation, the Cafe Show 2015 saw the participation of 35 countries, including Vietnam.
2,000 stalls and 360 businesses from 35 countries participated in the exhibition. Vietnamese businesses attended the exhibition to introduce the country's coffee.
I've known for Vietnamese coffee for a while. It is very fragrant and richer than Korean coffee. We really like Vietnamese coffee and hope to continue importing this product.
Processed Vietnamese coffee is not very well known, as Vietnam mainly exports raw coffee. But in the first days of the exhibition, an agreement worth 20 tons of coffee was signed between a Vietnamese and Korean enterprise.
Korean businesses import a lot of Vietnamese coffee beans, but once they are processed and reach the Korean market, consumers do not know that beans originate from Vietnam.
In the future, Vietnamese coffee producers aim to develop more processed coffee products in addition to the already well-known raw coffee beans. According to Vietnam Coffee and Cocoa Association, the export of processed coffee could increase by 25% this year.
Now, the wild sunflower has long been considered a symbolic flower of the Central Highlands city of Đà Lạt. It is now the season of wild sunflowers, and in the following report, let's take a closer look at the beauty of this flower season in the Central Highlands region.
This road is 30 kilometers away from Đà Lạt, and it takes about an hour to go by bus. However, many tourists still choose to travel on this road because they can enjoy the beauty of wild sunflowers.
The flower is wild, but it is very lovely and makes me feel peaceful. It was difficult to get here, but when I arrived, I feel happy, like I've discovered something new.
The road surrounded by sunflowers inspire me to take beautiful photos.
November to December is the wild sunflower season. When wild sunflowers bloom, they signal the end of the rainy season and the start of a new dry season. The flower has become a symbol of Đà Lạt. Wild sunflowers thrive anywhere the sun shines. As a wildflower, it isn't as graceful or as elegant as other flowers. Roads surrounded by yellow sunflowers draw many people here every year.
Đà Lạt in the past was not crowded like it is now, and sunflowers were everywhere. We used to play with the flowers when we were small, and the flower became a part of our unforgettable childhood.
Due to increasing urbanization, trees are gradually disappearing from the cities. Therefore, Đà Lat's wild sunflowers fields are a good way to maintain the peaceful and natural beauty of the region.
The Cycle a Difference bike ride started on the 15th of November in the northern province of Lào Cai and attracted 25 international cyclists. Now, the 10-day ride from Lào Cai to the central city of Da Nang is meant to raise money for Newborns Vietnam to reduce newborn deaths. Now, each cyclist will conquer a journey 2 times the height of Mount Everest. In total, the team will ride over 48,000 kilometers. Several famous international cyclists are participating in the journey, like David Loy, Vietnam Mountain Marathon champion, Juliana Buring, fastest women to circumnavigate the globe by bike, and Mike Hall, 2 times winner of the longest mountain bike race in the world. Now, in the past 3 years, Cycle a Difference raised over $600,000 for Newborns Vietnam, with a total cycling journey of over 115,000 kilometers. It's now time for a check on the updated weather forecast. So that's it for this edition of VTV News. It's great to have you along. Now visit our website at vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go for repeats of our bulletins. I see you back at 3 p.m. local time.